So Trump and his lackeys are absolutely in full panic mode right now as they face serious tests against China and the markets. That's sort of today's video, and basically they're getting called out and they're lashing out at anyone who calls them out. Check this out, what Karen Levitt had to say recently about a reporter over at ABC.
Last night, in a since-deleted post, so-called journalist Terry Moran went on a rampage against Stephen Miller. What happened, Caroline?
Well, ABC is going to have to answer for what their, again, so-called journalist put out on Twitter in the wee hours of the night, calling Stephen Miller vile. They said that President Trump is a world-class hater. And this is, again, coming from someone who is supposed to be an unbiased and professional journalist. This is unacceptable and unhinged rhetoric coming from someone who works at a major television network. We have reached out to ABC. They have said they will be taking action, so we will see what they do.
So according to Carolyn Levitt, I guess you can't use certain words, and these are the headlines right now. ABC suspends Terry Moran for calling Trump official Stephen Miller a hater. You also got this. ABC News suspends journalists after calling Trump and advisor world-class haters. And if you don't know who Terry Moran is, this is him when he was talking to Trump just recently.
He wasn't a member of a gang. And then they looked, and on his knuckles, he had MS-13.
There's a dispute over that.
Wait a minute. He had MS-13 on his knuckles tattooed.
Oh, he had some tattoos that are interpreted that way. But let's move on.
Wait a minute. Hey, Terry.
He did not have the letter MS-13.
It says MS-13.
That was Photoshopped. So let me
That was Photoshopped. Terry, you can't do that. Hey, they're giving you the big break of a lifetime. You know, you're doing the interview. I picked you because, frankly, I never heard of you, but that's okay. I picked you, Terry. But you're not being very nice.
So that was Trump making a fool of himself, as he always does. And if you don't know, yes, it was Photoshopped. And yes, Trump is completely delusional. This is the actual post that Terry Moran put on Twitter. It's been hence deleted, and I guess he's suspended now. The thing about Stephen Miller is not that he is the brains behind Trumpism. Yes, he is one of the people who conceptualizes the impulses of the Trumpist movement and translates them into policy. But that's not what's interesting about Miller. It's not brains, it's bile. Miller is a man who is richly endowed with the capacity for hatred. He's a world-class hater. You can see this just by looking at him, because you can see that his hatreds are his spiritual nourishment. He eats his hate. Trump is a world-class hater, but his hatred only a means to an end, and that end is his own glorification. That's his spiritual nourishment. And I guess this post, again, got Terry Moran suspended from the Trump people. Also, what's going on, I'm sure you guys know, we've been talking about this the last couple of days. Trump is now called the National Guard and is in a dispute with Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Gavin is talking about all Democratic governors are with California here. Says every single Democratic governor agrees Donald Trump's attempt to militarize California are an alarming abuse of power. Okay, here's the quote here. President Trump's move to deploy California's National Guard is an alarming abuse of power. Governors are the commanders-in-chief of their National Guard, and the federal government activating them in their own borders without consulting or working with a state's governor is ineffective and dangerous. Further threatening to send the U.S. Marines into American neighborhoods undermines the mission of our service members, erodes public trust, and shows the Trump administration does not trust local law enforcement. And I've been warning you guys about this, is that Trump's looking to instigate as much chaos as he possibly can. And now the Republicans are threatening to send in the U.S. Marines.
Secretary Hegseth said that active duty Marines there at Camp Pendleton, there by San Diego, are on high alert and could be mobilized. Could we really see active duty Marines on the streets of Los Angeles?
You know, one of our core principles is maintaining peace through strength. We do that on foreign affairs and domestic affairs as well. I don't think that's heavy-handed. I think that's an important signal.
You don't think sending Marines into the streets of an American city is heavy-handed?
We have to be prepared to do what is necessary, and I think the notice that might happen might have the deterrent effect.
Okay.
Gavin hits back saying, using this logic, meaning that, remember, the Trump people are threatening to send the Marines in. Using this logic, the Guard should be deployed to Speaker Johnson's district years ago. Louisiana has the second highest murder rate in the nation and was ranked, quote, the most dangerous state in America. Are you saying Trump should send the Guard there next? I also want to make it really clear, guys. I don't condone any sort of violence by any stretch. We want to maintain peace, right? Even Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is saying, California, don't give Donald Trump what he wants. Speak up, stay peaceful, stay calm. Do not use violence and respect the law enforcement officers that are trying their best to keep the peace. Trump, on the other hand, though, is trying to instigate, again, more chaos. And he's under this crazy delusion that he's liberating us all. Remember, he had that whole tariff thing, calling it Liberation Day. And now this is what he's tweeting out just recently. This is from Trump, a once great American city, Los Angeles, has been invaded and occupied by illegal aliens and criminals, that's according to Trump. Now, violent insurrectionist mobs are swarming and attacking our federal agents to try and stop our deportation operations. But these lawless riots only strengthen our resolve. I'm directing Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, and Attorney General Pam Bondi, in coordination with all other relevant departments and agencies, to take all such necessary to liberate Los Angeles from the migrant invasion and put an end to those migrant riots. Order will be restored, the illegals will be expelled, and Los Angeles will be set free. That's according to Trump. Thank you for the attention to this matter. Jasmine Crockett had to make a statement on this situation. She says, first, they illegally deport citizens. That's the Trump people. Then they unleash ICE to terrorize communities. Now they've got the National Guard in LA to silence protesters. This ain't about law and order. This is what authoritarianism looks like. It is getting worse and worse. And again, I'm telling you, is Trump people are panicking. That's why they're taking these extreme actions, because they know they have to deal with China this week and also the markets. Set for Monday in the UK, the Trump people, and I think they're sending Bessent, Greer, and Lutnick to go negotiate with China over the trade talks, right?
You are saying tariffs are staying put. That this is a constant source
reciprocal. You've seen deals.
Right,
You've seen deals. Yes,
I
and
hear
exactly
you on
where they are, we're working it out, and we're opening up markets.
Yeah, but
so that
deals, this is where I'm stuck. Because deals is about negotiating down the tariffs. So that's a diminishing source of revenue over time. But are you saying that there will be blanket tariffs?
Last year,
what percent?
before we got here, we were raising $80 billion a year in tariffs. Right now, the CBO projects that we're going to get $2.8 trillion over the next 10 years. Exactly where the number ends up is going to depend on how much foreign countries open up their markets to our products and how well they treat our farmers.
So you don't know how much revenue you're
but revenue was $80 billion last year. Tariff revenue is not going away. That's what I'm saying.
But we don't know what the tariffs are going to be.
We're negotiating them on a country-by-country basis. We've got a whole bunch of trade deals. We've got a trade deal with the UK that's already, you can see what the trade deal with the UK is now.
Right, so it's a fluctuating number. It's not a constant.
China has the upper hand at the moment, and Trump is basically spiraling out of control, trying to use the military to sow whatever chaos he possibly can. But it's basically putting the U.S. in a weaker position. At the moment, China is now starting to build stronger ties in the UK, right? And this has been a point of contention between the U.S. and UK now. UK vows due diligence on China embassy amid security concerns. I guess this is going to be basically just sending more personnel to the UK to establish more relations. I'll read the details of this. This is something that probably a lot of people won't talk about, but it is a big deal because this is something that Trump wants, right? He wants you to choose one side or the other. This is coming from the UK. It says, the UK government promised to assess any security concerns related to the construction of a Chinese embassy near the city of London, an issue that could potentially complicate trade talks with the US. President Donald Trump has warned Prime Minister Keir Starmer against letting China set up a mega embassy near the country's key financial centers. After the plan was revived following personal lobbying by President Xi Jinping, the Sunday Times reported. The issue has been raised in trade negotiations between the US and UK, according to the newspaper. And what's unfortunately happening right now is that many countries are faced with this impossible decision, right? how do I maintain relationships with both China and USA when Trump keeps causing all of these problems everywhere, right? Trump's causing problems at home in the USA and causing problems worldwide. And he's basically kind of setting this, tone is either you're with me or against me kind of thing. On top of that, many Americans abroad, and for those of you guys abroad, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, are having to face questions about like, what the heck's that crazy guy Trump doing? And this was an interesting article here. It says American students in China face a barrage of questions about Trump. And they actually use a photo from NYU Shanghai. And if you don't know, I actually interviewed the teach here. So when I see these kind of things, like I know exactly what they're talking about. I live here in Korea, and this has been a point of contention also among local Koreans. Basically, Trump is pushing away Korea. There's a lot of people who are just like, what the heck's Trump doing? He's a madman, crazy. It's obvious. So if you're outside the country, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Unfortunately, the only people who don't see it are the MAGA Trumpers, right? They think that Trump is their hero, superhero, etc. But I'm telling you guys, outside the U.S. borders, it's completely obvious what's happening here. And then you're going to see it in the bond market. So basically, will people want to buy U.S. debt? Will foreign countries want to buy U.S. debt? So there's a auction on Thursday. I think we're talking about the 30-year. And this could go pretty bad. And this is the headlines here. Most unloved bonds turn routine U.S. Auction into crucial test. Remember, Trump wants to do deficit spending. And effectively, right, the whole about is giving tax cuts for his billionaire buddies. He wants to cut services that regular Americans need. And the numbers just don't add up. And then on top of that, he wants to use foreign countries to fund his operations. But what if foreign countries aren't on board on that? That's a real serious point of contention. What if foreign countries start dumping U.S. bonds? That could certainly happen. So that's what we're watching. And I've been seeing these kind of headlines also. Global funds bet on Korean stocks. Big break on reform tailwinds. And why am I mentioning this? It's just because under Trump, essentially the U.S. position is falling, right? Trust in USA is falling. And other countries are like, hey, we've got a chance to really, move up in the world. And that's what you're seeing. That's my thoughts on this. I want to hear yours, and I'll catch you on the next video.